So I'm going to talk about some of the more delightful bots I've encountered and what makes them delightful. Along the way to creating this list, I've also come up with a definition of delightful in the context of chatbots. But first, a couple of thoughts about conversational structures for chatbots. I've grouped them into 4 kinds. They are banter bots, storytelling bots, concierge bots, and task-based bots. In the first group, the banter bots, one chatbot that is off the charts and deserves its own category is Mitsuku. I mention it first because it offers an important lesson on expectations people have about a chatbot's personality. Mitsuku was created by Steve Warswick and has won the Loebner Prize several times for the most human-like AI. Structurally, when you say something to Mitsuku, it spits out a piece of dialogue it has incorporated from its past. So you're, in a sense, conversing with an accumulation of pieces of dialogue from various users in the past. And its algorithm matches whatever you say to it to a response that it guesses could be on topic. The more people chat with it, the more it incorporates these colloquial conversational turns of phrase for its own use. So its repertoire has become richer and more sophisticated over the years. And relatively speaking, it's an old bot, which is why it's so unique. It's hard to replicate that many years of data. So whenever it's somewhat off in its conversation or it makes a wrong guess about what it thinks is the relevant thing to say, the effect is interesting because it's just like in a human conversations when people say slightly irrelevant or tangential things. So Mitsuku works well because its single purpose is banter. It doesn't try to answer general knowledge questions like how to make a chicken sandwich or tell you the closest grocery store to you. But Mitsuku is a unique entity, and most chatbots creators don't get anywhere near that level of sophistication as far as witty repartee. Another maybe less sophisticated bot whose main job is also banter, something like Growbot. Growbot is a Slack bot for teams, and its value is in being a kind of buddy or a mascot. Some of its more sappy aspects are part of its persona as a mascot, and it can be delightful. I worked with a homespun bot mascot in an office once, and it was really great outlet for office jokes, and it really did bring kind of positivity. So, and it never pretended to be anything other than a kind of dumb mascot. So, and the other thing to note about bots like Growbot is that although it responds to individual members, arguably the real experience of a Growbot isn't having an individual conversation because its comments are meant to be seen by, its comments are meant to be seen by the whole team. So the effect is a kind of group exchange rather than one-on-one interaction, which is how you mostly think of chatbots. So on to the next slide. A second conversational genre are storytelling bots. And here, Sequel is a standout. It's actually a collection of several fictional stories which you consume by text. For example, there's a Detective Keyes character and you follow a murder mystery, and it's told to you as if you're texting with a friend. And it's truly delightful. In this case, the reason it's delightful is because it creates a suspension of disbelief in the bot's intelligence. You're no longer thinking about whether it's human-like or whether it's accurate. Instead, the rules of good storytelling kick in. So you find yourself telling the bot, okay, what happens next? And it tells you. And I also happen to think that a lot of fan bots that are made in the image of celebrities like Selena Gomez or of fictional shows like Game of Thrones make for really great chatbot experiences. Some of these bots are made better than others. So there isn't like a specific one that I would highlight here, but as a group, they tend to work well for the same reason that the sequel works, which is the rules of storytelling. Fans don't actually think they're conversing with Selena Gomez or with a Game of Thrones character. So there isn't a disappointment of a user's expectations. And because they're fans, they like hearing about like latest news or the next upcoming concert or merchandise that they can buy. In the concierge category of chatbots, I actually couldn't find a single delightful bot, but I'm open to suggestions if anyone has any after the talk. Sensei is an interesting example of such a bot. You ask Sensei a question and it connects you anonymously to someone who can answer your question. And I find Sensei intriguing because the bot doesn't do the conversation, the bot just connects you to someone else. Unfortunately, I found that it doesn't work very well in practice. The several times that I've tried Sensei, if I got a response at all, it was like hours later. But the structure is intriguing and it opens the gateway to other kinds of bots that are kind of concierges. They put you through an onboarding experience before actually connecting you to a real person. There's a lot of businesses that do well in this space. I found a few like Operator, and Magic, which involve high consideration purchases, or Lola for travel. They do a little bit of the automatic onboarding of you through a chatbot interface initially, but then you're actually dealing with a person who can help you. So as I said, I think that they're really extremely effective, but I just haven't found any that have that extra magical kick that makes them truly, delightful. Okay, and then the final category is task-based bots. This is the vast majority of bots out there. They're set up to do something for you, like remind you to take your medicine or keep track of your appointments or help you pick out a gift for a colleague. I stumbled on an unlikely hero among these task-based bots. Its name is Bus Uncle. Now, figuring out what makes Bus Uncle work probably offers a great template for what produces delight in general. So Bus Uncle is a Singapore local bot that answers the question, how much longer do I have to wait for my bus? Singapore's bus system is apparently incredibly complicated, and there's no good, easy way of looking up the schedules. And so by quickly querying the several convoluted schedules that are available and spitting out the number of minutes left for your wait, Bus Uncles solves a problem people really have. And it's named after a local stereotype of an elderly man waiting for the bus, which Singaporeans typically call an elderly person an uncle. And it also responds in this delightful Singaporean Singlish slang that is really regional. So it finds a way of being entertaining and using the situation of waiting for the bus as a context for a kind of unexpected delight. And notice it doesn't try to be like the bus schedule bot for Asia. It stays really local. It sticks close to specificity. So because of Bus Uncle, I ended up with a list of what produces delight. So here are the 5 rules of delight for a chatbot. And now, solve a problem people really have. This should be number 1. And you'd be surprised how many chatbots actually don't. The second rule, really solve that problem well. Again, you'd be surprised how many bots fail to do the thing that they're actually set up to do. Number 3, stay small, stay local. Number 4, keep consistent rules of engagement. And what I mean by that is multifold. For example, giving a bot a cute animal persona and have it make witty jokes and gifs and maybe not the right thing for a customer service bank in a bank. You know who hates cute animal personas? People trying to use a chatbot to change their address. people don't care about personality as much as you think if they have a problem that needs a solution. But in the case of Bus Uncle, the persona of the elderly uncle matches the situation of waiting for the bus, of being open to a bit of informal back and forth, and of having time for that back and forth. And finally, the last rule of delight, don't forget the dragon's tooth. And what do I mean by a dragon's tooth? It's that little zing or sparkle of unexpected joy. In this case, Bus Uncle, with its Singlish jokes, really does deliver that delight along with a solution to a problem. So I want to go through and three bots, which I actually have come up on many lists that I've looked at for interesting bots, which I think don't deliver these 5 rules of delight. Poncho, the weather bot, is like probably one of the most popular bots out there, but I'm not the only one to complain that it sometimes pings me to bring an umbrella about 5 minutes after it's already started raining. So unfortunately, Poncho doesn't live up to rule number 2, solve a problem well. Casper recently released something called the Insomnibot 3000, which is supposed to be a friendly bot to chat with at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. So it totally doesn't do number 4, which is keep consistent rules of engagement. I mean, okay, the name itself, Insomnibot 3000, is just not going to entice me to tell it my sleepy thoughts at 3 in the morning. And apparently the bot is set up so that it can like occasionally ping you with marketing and with products that it wants to sell you. And all of that just seems wrong for a chatbot whose purpose is supposed to be being my friend. And another example that's something that feels a bit wrong is Wobot. It's set up as a bot to help you improve your mood when you're feeling low. And although the creators do a lot to set it up as not necessarily a replacement for psychotherapy or meds, I think there's a danger that people who are feeling low might encounter this bot who's not really equipped to deal with somebody's mental health. And in this case, I just think the promise here is a little bit overwhelming for what it can deliver. And it seems possibly a wrong direction. But I do want to give examples of 3 bots I do find very delightful. So in addition to a few that I mentioned before, there's Do Not Pay. It's developed by a guy in the UK who had a lot of parking tickets. The bot helps you challenge your parking tickets. He's since created many bots. One notable one helps you sue Equifax for $25,000 in the wake of the recent Equifax security breach that exposed many people's private information. So it's delightful because not only does it do what it promises to do and solve people's problems, but it has this Robin Hood aspect to it that is incredibly compelling. They really help people, and they're not trying to sell you anything. A second one that I enjoyed was Christopher Bot. It was created by a 14-year-old to keep track of his homework. So it's useful for that one task. It's local to a specific population who finds that compelling. And it has this charming backstory of being made by a 14-year-old boy. And finally, there's Nadia. It's an Australian bot that incorporates facial recognition software to help you interact with it, and it reads your mood, which seemed a little creepy until you realize that its purpose is to help disabled people more easily access their health insurance information in Australia. Again, bots whose technological leaps are deployed very meaningfully toward inclusion and accessibility. Now that's a great bot. So in conclusion, I guess that success in creating a delightful bot is a little bit like giving life advice. It's do something truly useful, do it well, be more than a Google lookup, be humble, be true, be real, and what is life without a little dash of spice? So thank you for that. If you have any questions, please feel free to chime in.